Hello, welcome. Today we are so excited. We have Stacey Thornberry with us. She's the owner of Homewatch Caregivers of Northern Kentucky. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
That's great. I see Homewatch Caregivers everywhere. I mean, you guys seem to be killing it. I've learned and I see that you and your team just have a different approach to in-home care. Can you tell us how that approach is different than others?
hmm Well, I think you see us out in the public everywhere and as many networking events as we can get in because I really think trust starts outside of the home. We have to build relationships outside with individuals and make them feel comfortable with us so that when we're referred, they've already got that built in a little bit. And so that's why we're just really busy out in the community, meeting as many people as we can, because I always say it just takes one person to change our day or our business, really. But what we do differently is we are providing a higher level of care. So I'm really excited about that because we offer like a concierge style care where we've really invested in our caregivers. We've invested in their training. We've invested in our hiring process in general so that we are able to provide quality caregivers. And then we also have backup plans in place in case there's a call off so that we don't miss shifts. And that's a big deal in this industry.
Absolutely. I agree. So could you tell us more about your concierge service? It sounds
Yeah.
very interesting.
I'm so excited about it because I just came up with it at the end of last year because we are in an age where things are on demand. People want to pay for things and they want things like right now. And so in regards to home care, sometimes it might take 2, 3, 4 days, maybe even a week, depending on the caregivers that we have available or the client's condition. We want to send somebody into the home that is qualified to be there. And so what this concierge level is, it's a monthly membership. And if people join our monthly membership, they get on-demand care. They get a discount for hourly rates less than 4 hours because our regular package is 4 hour minimum for any shift. So if a concierge member chooses to do only a 1 or a 2 hour shift, they get a significant discount on that rate. And so that is really good for them if they want to go get a haircut or something like that where they don't necessarily need the whole 4 hours. And then the next thing is it's priority scheduling, and then they get caregivers that have done the extra training in dementia. They have done the extra training in hospitality. I brought in a friend from Marriott. I used to work at Marriott, so I know the standards. It's ingrained in my head and in my soul of quality standards, memorable experiences, things like that. And so she came in and taught hospitality training. She taught the caregivers how to take the initiative. She taught the caregivers eye contact. She taught them communication strategies, just simple, basic communication skills so that we're able to converse. Because sometimes you've got a generation that might be in their 90s and you've got a generation that are in their 20s. And you've got to come up with common ground. And you've got to come up with how you present and things you talk about. So I really wanted to take that extra step and teach my caregivers, those basic skills so that we would be successful in the home because it's more than just providing care, it's an experience.
How many caregivers do you have working for Homewatch here locally?
We average about 75 right now. Yeah, it's a lot of
I guess
a
I
lot
guess
of
you need a lot of people because you take care of a lot of people, right?
Yes. We have primarily they're women. We do have a couple gentlemen on our team, but a lot of moms, and we really do a good job of investing in our caregivers. What I tell my clients when I'm meeting with them for the first time and the caregivers is you're equally as important. I can't have one without the other. And so I have to make sure that my caregivers feel safe and that they want to be here and they want to come to work every day. So I'm providing opportunities for my team to help them out with some basic life skills and things like that, or some budgeting skills, teaching them how to be on time and some different strategies. It goes beyond just the care.
Hmm. That definitely is a higher level of care for the folks. So that's really nice that you do that.
Mhm.
So do you offer
Are
any
you are
other
you finding
service?
that you're constantly looking for new people to work for Homewatch? You're always looking for talent
We
to hire?
We're always hiring. I don't think that's ever going to stop because we continuously get clients. And again, we have to have the right personality and skill set for each client. And so it's good to have more people to choose from and then not enough. And so we'll hire at times, we'll hire PRN, we'll hire part-time, and then we'll move them into full-time. I have about a 90% retention rate right now, 90 to 93% on average, which is really good. But we really want to find out what makes each of our caregivers tick and then kind of use that to motivate them to work. Or, it's not all about money all of the time. It might be about their schedule, or it might be they need some help with their kids' school supplies. Whatever it is, I'm here to help if I'm able to help, if it's within reason.
Sure. Sounds good. So do you offer other services as well, I believe?
Hmm.
Dementia. Do you have a dementia coordinator now?
Yes, I do. I'm so excited. I brought on a dementia specialist this year because this space is growing at such leaps and bounds. This more and more clients or more and more potential clients are calling us dealing with dementia. And there's different types of dementia, there's different levels of dementia. And so I decided that it would be beneficial for our company to bring on a specialist. And so again, extra cost for Homewatch caregivers, but yet we're able to provide more. So we make sure that the caregivers are receiving training properly. And then we also provide, we're able to meet with the families doing like an initial intake if they have dementia. And then we provide options if they want to do one-on-one coaching with our dementia specialists with their families. So it's really great to have this option because she goes in and she does a deep dive into their life and what it was and what it is now, and we really work with who the person is now. We don't lose sight of them at all or what they were and what they're not anymore. We focus on what they can do, and we'll pull those strengths out, and we're going to teach the family different strategies of redirection and different strategies to get them into the shower and things like that, because I feel like a lot of times people call us and they're beside themselves because mom has dementia and there's no education, and then they're going into it upset and angry because mom doesn't remember who they are. And so we have to be prepared to teach them. And so I needed to get more help teaching us so that we could teach the families, because it ends up being a lot of fighting, and it's already a high crisis situation without the training. So if I can bring in a specialist to kind of go in and get involved and teach the caregivers and teach the family, hey, this person, he used to be a doctor. He used to be in control. He used to be a handyman. There's different things we can do with their hands or different tasks that we can do to kind of fire some things in the brain to make them still feel like they're themselves.
So let me get this right. So not only do you guys take care of the patient, obviously, but you educate your staff and the family around the patient to make sure that they understand, like, hey, this is what this person's going through. Here's how to best handle it so you're not stressed out, they're not stressed out, and this goes in the right direction and doesn't end up in a
Right.
hostage situation.
Yeah, sometimes people can get pretty upset or pretty aggravated, and you got it all. We get wanderers, we get all kinds of stuff. So you really have to be prepared and on your toes, and you really have to understand how the brain is working, or things are firing or not firing, just the brain failure, so that you have more patience and you have, more empathy when you go into the situation. And it is about educating the whole family. This year especially, I have the team, we're in our 6th year, focused on caring for the caregiver. We're providing more for families than we ever have before. We're providing more support, more options for them, and education if they want to get out, some respite, ever more than ever before, because it's needed. It's a family that you're getting when you just sign on a client. A lot of times. Sometimes people don't have anybody, but for the most part, you're getting a family, and you have to learn how to navigate the family dynamics, because somebody might be out of town and they might be in charge of all of the medical care, and then this person might be out of town in charge of all the financial situations, and then you got someone local that doesn't want to be involved at all. So you've got dynamics like crazy. So you have to really learn how to communicate properly in addition to taking care of the patient or the client.
Absolutely. I mean, I fall into that category. I'm a caregiver myself for my mother, and I have to find all kinds of reasons to like take my time off. And so it's nice that you offer that. So it leaves an option for folks like myself.
Yes, there's a lot of people that are in a sandwich generation. I don't know if you've heard that term before or not, but it's the sandwich generation. They're taking care of parents, and then they're taking care of their children. Then you have double deckers and triple deckers. It really gets to some point where parents are taking care of parents who are taking care of their parents. And you got this house full of chaos. And so if we can provide any sort of respite for that or any sort of lifeline, that's what we want to do.
What is, I got a question. What is something like when you get a phone call or you're onboarding a family, right? I'm guessing in a lot of cases you're working with the children of the patient or the person that you're serving. What are like the first one or two questions that you get from the family, and frequently asked questions kind of stuff, and how would you address it?
So a main question is, what do you do for 4 hours? And that's a big question because they might just be looking for an hour or two, and I go in, these are things that we can do for 4 hours. So we can help with things other than just caring for the patient or providing companion care. We can help around the house, light housekeeping, laundry, meal preparation, transportation. Sometimes we take clients out to their appointments or take them to the park, just get them out of the house so that they're safe. And we build our 4-hour increment around making sure that they're having their shower, making sure that they've had their meals for the day and taken their medicine. And then we'll plan some activities around some of the other things that we do in regards to laundry and things like that. Another question we get is, my mom or dad, they don't want care. They don't want help. How are you going to help me because I can't do this anymore? I mean, sometimes you get the desperation call. And so we have to really dig into why they don't want help. And if it is a situation where there is dementia or something like that, we come in as a friend. We don't come in uniform. We come in as a friend. We're coming in as a friend of your child or a neighbor, and we're just here to check on you. We're just going to be here for a little amount of time. Let's talk about some things that you like to do. Let's look through picture books. Let's do that. You can't just go in and demand that somebody feel comfortable with the caregiver there, because you also have to find out from the family. And when you're doing the intake, I'm looking for different signs if this person's going to be pretty likes to converse, if they like to sleep, if they like to watch TV. I mean, I'm looking at things as close as what news channel they have it on, so that we make sure that we have everything in place, like Fox TV or CNN. We're down to that point, Or if I'm noticing flowers or a certain type of animal that they're favorite, I'm kind of reading the room when I'm doing an intake, because I want to make sure I have the right caregiver there. I don't want to send someone there and then I'm listening also. I don't want them just sitting here staring at me. Okay, well, that sounds good. So these are some options that we can do. Why don't we do this in the first hour? Let's talk about some things that you would like to get done this week. And then we kind of come up with a plan. We have to strategize how we're going to go in, especially if we have a client that is nervous or anxious. We have to get that trust established really quickly. And that usually happens in the intake with me. And then I will go back and do a meet and greet, or I'll send my care manager to do a meet and greet with the family and the caregiver at their first visit, because I want to make sure the caregiver knows where the washing machine is. She knows where, the garbage can, like the Rumpke or whatever. So I want the caregiver and the client to feel completely comfortable before we exit, because so many people just go in and their caregiver is asleep on the couch and they think that's normal. That is not normal. You hear horror stories of things that are going on, and that's not normal. You can require more from your caregiver, and if that's happening, you need to make sure that we know. And on that intake, I always make sure, let me know if there's a problem, or let me know if there's something we can do better, because it might just be a mentoring issue and we can fix it. But if I don't know about it, I can't fix it. And I don't want you to just leave. I want to have the opportunity to make sure that you have a good experience, especially if it's your first time. Some people come in pretty mad already because they've had a bad experience. So you're really fighting that with the bad experience. You've got to really overextend the hospitality part so that we can rebuild that trust. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like your goal is like to be very proactive to help individuals like stay in their home longer. Is this, I guess, your ultimate goal, to keep people in their homes as long as they can?
It is. It is. That is absolutely the point of what we do every day. We want to maintain independence in the home. We don't want to overtake anything. We want people to feel comfortable in their homes. That's their safe space. And they're allowing us to come in for a short period of time. We want to be proactive. And the sooner you start home care, the less likely a crisis is going to happen. So that's really important also. Another reason why I'm out in the community, because we're educating people on this is why you might want to start us earlier, because you don't want a fall to happen. Or if you just want us to come one time a week for 4 hours, we can do that. Or we can go all the way up to 24/7. You don't have to have us a certain time every single week. You can have us one time a month come in just to kind of test the waters and take baby steps. But that all is in part of building the trust and what the need is. But if we can prevent a fall from happening, or if the washing machine is downstairs, things like that, and that's the real hiccup, or, they can't bathe themselves like in a great way like they used to, let us come in and help, so that way we're preventing a fall, and then they can continue on their daily routine. I mean, it's better to be proactive and get us in there early than be reactive. So that's why I like to meet people when it's not a crisis situation, because 9 times out of 10 it's a crisis situation when we get called.
And I've got a question. Do you have one? No, go ahead. You were starting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the connection's a little weak.
Okay. So yeah, it's really great that you want to keep, mom and dad, if you will, as independent as you can. We run into that ourselves in our business. The first thing people say is like, I'm not moving. I'm going to live in my house forever, kind of thing. And so we run into the same situation. So when families like come to you, I'm sure they have questions like, what would be like some early signs that a family might acknowledge or recognize or be concerned about, from the beginning, that they would actually reach out to contact you?
I think some early signs would be if your parent or your loved one would used to call every day and then they stop calling every day, that might be something you want to pay attention to. Or if they start napping more, again, nothing is wrong, but I think it's just a sign to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Look at their how many times they're changing their clothes, just things like that. If you stop by and there's mail piled up, or there's medicine everywhere, or the medicine bottles are still full. I mean, there's signs out there. They might not be able to get the top off, and you didn't know that they couldn't get the top off. There's a lot of little signs. You just have to be cognizant of it. You have to be aware that you have an aging parent, and you just need, it might not be a critical time, but you need to just take note that their steps are getting slower. They're starting to shuffle their feet a little bit more. You just need to keep an eye on things in regards to like trip hazards and area rugs. That's a big one. People don't want to pick up their area rugs. Do you know how dangerous those are with a walker? I mean, they are some really pretty area rugs, which I'm sure you see as well. They don't want to move them. And I'm like, this is a huge trip hazard. I'd like for you to just maybe move it temporarily until you start to feel better, And I just think that as adult children, we have a responsibility to look out for our parents. I mean, they've raised us, and it's our turn to give back. And that's not the case for every family, again, which is why you have someone come in early so that we can help provide that if you're not local or if you have a disconnected relationship. That happens as well. But as long as you're providing care and looking for the signs, we can step in and prevent things from happening. And I think also looking to see, like, If you have a ranch, you're more likely to have someone be able to be on the same level. But you have to really pay attention. If mom or dad have stairs and they can't get to somewhere, or they're still doing it, but they're carrying their laundry basket and they're 90 years old up and down the steps, that's not a good situation, you know? But you don't want to take away their independence, but you want to start gentle conversations. So that way you're just not coming in there and demanding change. You can just take baby steps.
Do you find, so I'm assuming that this is a very delicate conversation when it comes to people talking to their parents about, hey, I'm going to have somebody come in, as we already talked about. You know, I'm trying to find the words here to ask the question, but essentially, you know, you're talking about parents shuffling feet, the things, you know, the medicine's not getting taken, and that, you know, at what point does it become, I don't even know where I'm going with that question. We're talking about aging in place and keeping people in the home, keeping them able to move around so that it prevents an accident. There's a lot of times where people don't have somebody like you and they end up falling, right? Because you weren't there to help them move the rugs out of the way and help them take the laundry downstairs. And then that becomes a long road of headache. You know, now the parent is in a nursing facility after they get out of the hospital and they're trying to rehab because they've hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question is, like, how soon should somebody reach out? You know, their parents are fine. Maybe can you guys just come by and do assessments for people and check on things just to see if you are needed?
Yes, absolutely. We can just even go out and meet them, not even do an official assessment, because again, you are establishing trust long before you step in that front door. Like, that's my goal. I want them to meet me and call me if anything comes up, even if they don't know who to go to for a realtor, if they don't know who to go to for a power of attorney, things like that. I want you to call me so that I can get you to the right people that are going to take good care of you in advance before it gets to that situation. Another thing is talk to neighbors, you know, like have neighbors check on your loved one, or people at church that if they usually go to church and they're noticing that their friend is not there as often, you know, or a Bible study group or a book club, things like that. There's different little signs. And again, it is a really delicate topic, but the sooner you do it, the easier it is, because you can take those baby steps and you can establish the team together, and you can really have like a family meeting if you have that opportunity, because you want to do it in advance, because you do have different children that want to be involved, but they don't know how. And so then you can kind of talk it out and say, I want you to handle the financial piece of this, or I want you to handle, you know, the medical piece of this, and I want you to handle the communication with the home care piece of this, because I don't like coordinating schedules. I mean, there's so many different variables that happen, and again, there's people that don't even want to be involved, or there's children that want to be involved but they don't know how. That's another thing. It scares them. And so the sooner you kind of bridge that gap and provide the training or provide opportunities where they could meet people like me out in public to get some comfort of what we actually do, and that we make sure that our caregivers aren't sleeping on the couch, or they're not, you know, filtering through the house. And we give families like a checklist or strategies to prep for home care. They want to lock up the valuables. They want to put all the finances away. You know, you don't want to have stuff laying around. You know, there's just different things that you can do to prep for home care. So as a family, you can take those steps before you even call someone like me in, just to kind of get them started. And there's other things that you can do, is like let them go to like a silver sneakers class, or let them be involved in some exercise classes just to keep their balance. I mean, I'm turning 50 and my son is on me like crazy because I need to be lifting weights more, because he knows that I'm going to become more frail as I get older, and he said he's not taking, you know, like, Mom, you're getting shipped off, you know. So I got to make sure that I'm strong and I'm healthy and I'm got things set up in place. I know he's kidding, I think, but for the most part, but that's a good example for me to be in check of, I've got to make sure that my loved one is getting exercise. I've got to make sure she's drinking enough water. I got to make sure, She's got a support system around her, because the people that are lonely and that they don't have that, they're going to go downhill quicker. And the other piece of people of this is with the training is a lot of times the loved one who's the caregiver, their immune system gets beat down more than the actual person that they're caring for, because they're exhausted. And so having those chances to learn about respite, or go out with some friends just for a little bit, go get your hair done, your nails done, just to feel like a woman and feel like, a human other than just a caregiver. That's a really key part of our success. I want the daughters to feel like daughters. I want the sons to feel like sons, and the husbands to be husbands. I don't want them to just be the caregiver all the time, because it really is exhausting.
Well, and that can create some tension and some animosity too. If somebody feels like, their only role is to just take care of somebody, and they're not loved, and there's not this connection anymore, and they kind of lose their identity.
Absolutely. And so the more education we can give in advance to prevent that from happening, the more successful the entire process is going to be. And I don't want people to see aging as something awful. Aging is something we need to celebrate. And you have to have the right team in place to age in place in a great way. If your loved one gets hurt and goes into a facility and they need a little bit of extra care, we can come into the facility and help. If they're established in a local independent living and they fall, they don't want to move out. They might become a 2-person lift for a month. Bring someone like us in to help, so that they're still in their surroundings, they're still around their friends, and you don't have to change their routine up. Again, it's just something you have to be proactive about in thinking, because you don't want to just keep moving mom or dad. That's not going to, if you can. Not everybody has that option.
Yep. I think that sometimes it could just be overwhelming, the whole process. And sometimes I feel that even myself. And I do feel like I have a support system in place, but it can be sometimes very stressful. But I think if you, prepare ahead of time and make sure that your loved one, does have some kind of plan in place, I think that probably is, an excellent start into caring for that loved one, just like you said, because they do deserve it.
Right, they do. I really truly believe there's a lot of gaps still out there. And so what I'm trying to do is build on those gaps, like with the training and the exercise, the balance exercises, things like that. It's more like a wellness program. I really think there's a huge gap out there, and it's not an intentional gap, but I want to capitalize on those gaps so that, again, we can continue to celebrate aging and not just see it as a negative.
Absolutely. So you've given us so much information about, the way that you care for our elderly population. So what would be one thing that you would want people to remember most about Homewatch Caregivers, and how you take an active part in the community and in the care for the older population?
Well, I'd love for them to remember everything I said. But I think for the most part, I want them to know that they can trust us, and they can trust that I'm going to lead the team to do a great job. I'm going to lead the team and take extra steps to make sure they're properly trained, and that I have people in place if there is a call off, so that we will show up on time. And I'm going to make sure that the integrity is there, the reliability, the qualified employees, all of our core values, they're going to be there. And if there is a situation, please give me the opportunity to mentor. That's a huge piece of the retention, is just a simple mentoring instead of just shutting down. I want people to remember Homewatch Caregivers as like a one-stop shop. I want to be that contact in Northern Kentucky where I can get you the help you need, and if I don't have the answer, I'm going to find it. But if you need anything in regards to physical therapy, OT, anything like medical and wills, real estate, anything in the senior space, I would love for Homewatch Caregivers to be the number one stop, just as a resource. And that's why I think it's important to continue to be out in the community, do things like this podcast, just really be present so that people can learn to trust me as a leader leading my company.
Well, and from my seat in the stands, Homewatch Caregivers isn't just somebody that you call to take care of mom or dad. It's an extension of the family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's so key because people just think it's taking care of one person, and it's not. There's so many dynamics.
All right. Anna, you got anything else before we close this out?
I'm just so thrilled that Stacey, you came and talked with us and gave us so much information. I mean, it's fabulous. I love these interviews that we do, podcast, if you will, because I learn so much as we go along. And so it's good for me to have that information when I go out into the community as well. So thank you so much for...
You're welcome. I appreciate you allowing me the time and the space and the energy to kind of talk about our company, but also talk about the senior space, because it is a space that does not have to be depressing. It is a space to be celebrated, and we want to be right there with the families as they're going through whatever they have to go through.
Well, and it's awesome to see your face. I got the community magazine that they send out, and I was flipping through that yesterday, and I saw you in there. I was like, I'm talking to her tomorrow, and there she is in my magazine that came in my mail today. So it's cool to see you out in the community educating people. But hopefully, this conversation that we're having right now, this half-hour piece, it goes out there, and people in our community can hear you talk about how passionate you are about helping their families. So
awesome!
I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing more podcasts.
All right. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you. Take care.